Have you guys ever seen Waking Life? Waking Life is a surrealist movie made by Richard Linklater. In the movie itself, we follow the dreamer who goes through a journey where he sees a lot of philosophical viewpoints. I call him the dreamer because throughout the movie implies that his journey is a dream. One of the first scenes in the movie is two kids playing that game. I forgot what it's called, but you open the paper and you get your fortune cookies. And then his fortune, his dream, his destiny, and then he flies away into the sky. And we get other scenes where people are talking about how there's a couple that talks about when they die, they relive their entire life as a dream. And then at the end of the movie, and in like just before the end of the movie, there's like a little arc trying to explain what dreams are. And me personally, I do think that it is in dream. And so I suggest watching the movie in its entirety because I can't talk about like all the philosophical viewpoints, but I'm going to talk about what I think is important to the dreamer's journey. And yeah, I want to talk about some of the important talks and lessons taken from the sequences of the movie. The boat scene. The dreamer wakes on a train. Then when he leaves, he tries to get a ride from somebody he knows on the phone, but he can't get one. And then when he walks out of the station, he looks around and he sees a guy driving a boat car. And the guy driving the boat car offers to give him a ride. As the ride occurs, the captain explains how he goes on with the flow and how the ocean waits for no man and he will not be landlocked.
Voila. And this is like my little window to the world, and every minute's a different show. Now, I may not understand it. I may not even necessarily agree with it, but I'll tell you what, I accept it and just sort of glide along. You want to keep things on an even keel, I guess is what I'm saying. You want to go with the flow. The sea refuses no river.
It seems that the dreamer is going through the dream, and he's being presented a question. That question being, what are you going to do with this journey that you're given? What path are you going to take? And when he says that this ride refuses no passengers, maybe literal in a sense, since the dreamer he's literally taking this ride, and this ride is the beginning of his entire journey. And I think this beginning scene is meant to symbolize that like he's going on this journey no matter what, because he doesn't even know what's going on, but everybody else seems to be giving him advice that kind of makes it's weird because the dreamer doesn't pick up that he's dreaming until later on in the movie. So all this advice seems to be waking him up in a sense. And as the captain explains, like, you know, the dreamer's just sitting there and he's very passive about it. And they like, even the captain says you have to direct the flow. Like you have to make your own flow with the river eventually. And eventually the captain asks, he says, where do you want to get off? And the dreamer doesn't know. And the guy in the back speaks up for the dreamer and he says,
Fine. Well, just give me an address or something, okay?
Tell you what, go up 3 more streets, take a right, go 2 more blocks, drop this guy off on the next corner.
Where's that? Well, I don't know either, but it's somewhere, and it's going to determine the course of the rest of your life.
I don't know, but somewhere, and it's gonna determine the course of the rest of your life. I love this scene since it starts the dreamer's journey, and it cements the first lesson, or one of the first lessons that the captain talks about, is that the ocean waits for no one. And since he didn't know like where he was going, he was just dropped off where people took him. Throughout the dreamer's journey, we encounter many people with a philosophy or perspective to present. How words have gained their meaning with a scriptwriter.
Really interesting, I think, is when we use that same system of symbols to communicate all the abstract and intangible things that we're experiencing.
Evolution with a professor.
instantaneous fulfillment of human and neo-human potential. It could be something totally different. It could be the amplification of the individual, the multiplication of individual existences, parallel existences, now with the individual no longer restricted by time and space.
Collective conscious with the wise man.
And so the main character is, to this new mind, greater mind. A mind that yet is to be.
And a prisoner's unsatiable vendetta.
Oh, you're gonna pay for what you did to me. For every second I spend in this hellhole, I'll see you spend a year in living hell.
And as we go about our dreamer gains more awareness of what is happening. And the viewer might have already picked up by now that all this is a dream. But our dreamer is only now picking up through his talks and his experiences. I think that this culminates when we turn more towards exploring the philosophy of dreams rather than the philosophy of life, like we have been talking about before.
We're called the Oneironauts. We're the explorers of the dream world. Really, it's just about the two opposing states of consciousness, which don't really oppose at all. See, in the waking world, the neural system inhibits the activation of the vividness of memories. Now, this makes evolutionary sense. See, it'd be maladaptive for the perceptual image of a predator to be mistaken for the memory of one, and vice versa.
Our dreamer then examines what the ukulele man has to say.
I had a friend once who told me that the worst mistake that you can make is to think that you are alive, when really you're asleep in life's waiting room.
This scene right here is my favorite scene, because throughout the entire movie, the dreamer is us. And the ukulele man keeps it simple in his lesson.
It's bad enough that you sell your waking life for minimum wage, but now they get your dreams for free.
Follow your dreams. We then encounter someone the dreamer knows.
Hey man, what are you doing here?
I fancy myself the social lubricator of the dream world, helping people become lucid a little easier. You know, cut out all that fear and anxiety stuff and just rock and roll.
He explains he helps people become lucid in the dream world. And the dreamer explains that he keeps waking up from dreams. Our lucid dream guy starts explaining. You have to recognize and ask if it's a dream. That most people don't even ask if they are awake if they are dreaming, and that they are sleepwalking through their waking lives.
Make the best of it. But the trick is, you gotta realize that you're dreaming in the first place. You gotta be able to recognize it. You gotta be able to ask yourself, hey man, is this a dream? See, most people never ask themselves that when they're awake, or especially when they're asleep. Seems like everyone's sleepwalking through their waking state or wake-walking through their dreams. Either way, they're not gonna get much out of it.
He then explains that a good way to check is through digital clocks. That if they are blurry and you can't really tell what's on them, then you're dreaming. Or light switches, when you flick them on and off and nothing happens, then you're dreaming. Then when our dreamer leaves, the lucid dream guy says this.
Well, I gotta go, man.
Okay, later, man. Super profundo on the early eve of your day.
What's that mean?
Well, you know, I've never figured it out. Maybe you can. This guy always whispers it in my ear. Lewis, he's a recurring dream character.
And when our dreamer asks what that means, the lucid dream guy says that, I don't know, but a recurring dream character keeps saying that to me. I've been trying to figure it out. And when that happens, I realize that maybe this guy right here, the reason the dreamer knows this guy is because he is a recurring dream character, and that this is the interaction that he keeps telling them to become lucid. And then like when he walks away and he turns off the switch, he realizes that he's dreaming. And so I think that this scene's layered, and I really do like this. The movie moves forward from this point, hitting more towards the question of what is life if we are in a dream? And are we in a dream or are we dead? This culminates with the scene with our dreamer and Richard Linklater, who's the director. He put him on this course at the beginning of the movie with the boat ride. And so our dreamer recognizes him, walks up to him and asks, "Hey man, I recognize you. You were on the boat ride." Richard Linklater doesn't even recognize the dreamer. And so the dreamer's like, "Yeah man, I saw you and I keep going through these experiences and I keep waking up and I think I might be dead." And then Richard Linklater says, "Oh, those are false awakenings," like he knows what they are. And like he's the Deus Ex Machina at the end of the movie, but this is a good Deus Ex Machina because it's more or less just explaining what's happening before. It's a philosophical movie, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever explanation we could kind of get, I think this is a good explanation. Linklater then starts explaining his dream, and to do that, he gives context. He tells the dreamer about Philip K. Dick's story, "Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said." He explains that Philip K. Dick kept encountering real-life people in his book. Like the lady having the affair. He encountered a man that needed gas and went home to get money and went back to go find the guy, and he realized that this encounter is straight from his book. And he then Dick then goes to a priest to explain his dilemma, and then the priest is just like, "That's the book of Acts." Philip K. Dick reads the book of Acts, and he realizes that the events and the people are the same, that his book is the book of Acts. And Linklater then explains that Philip K. Dick had a theory that time is an illusion, and that we all live in 50 AD, and he believed that he pierced the veil of time with his book. And Philip K. Dick, to really get why he thought that, Philip K. Dick was a big believer in the demiurge, that the devil put us all in a false reality, and that we're still waiting for like Jesus to be sacrificed and stuff like that. But that gives context to Richard Linklater's dream, in the sense that, here, I'll play the clip.
And that's what time is. That's what all of history is. It's just kind of this continuous, daydream or distraction. And so I read that, and I was like, well, that's weird. And then that night, I had a dream, and there was this guy in the dream who was supposed to be a psychic, but I was skeptical. I was like, yeah, he's not really a psychic, and I'm just thinking to myself. And then suddenly, I start floating, like levitating up to the ceiling. And as I almost go through the roof, I'm like, "Okay, Mr. Psychic, I believe you. You're a psychic. Put me down, please." And I float down, and as my feet touch the ground, the psychic turns into this woman in a green dress. And this woman is Lady Gregory. Now, Lady Gregory was Yeats's patron, this Irish person. And though I'd never seen her image, I was just sure that this was the face of Lady Gregory. So we're walking along, Lady Gregory turns to me and says, "Let me explain to you the nature of the universe." Now, Philip K. Dick is right about time, but he's wrong that it's 50 AD. Actually, there's only one instant, and it's right now, and it's eternity. And it's an instant in which God is posing a question. And that question is basically, do you want to, be one with eternity? Do you want to be in heaven? And we're all saying, no, thank you, not just yet. And so time is actually just this constant saying no to God's invitation. I mean, that's what time is. I mean, and it's no more 50 AD than it's 2001, I mean, there's just this one instant, and that's what we're always in. And then she tells me that actually this is the narrative of everyone's life. That, behind the phenomenal difference, there is but one story. And that's the story of moving from the no to the yes. All of life is like, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. And ultimately it's, yes, I give in. Yes, I accept. Yes, I embrace. I mean, that's the journey. I mean, everyone gets to the yes in the end, right?
And so the lesson is that time is just one instant where we're always saying no to death. And that's essentially what Richard's dream means. And after this scene, the dreamer essentially just floats up into the sky. And it's a parallel to the first scene, because in the first scene, when he was a kid, He was holding on, and he didn't let go. But in this scene, he lets go, accepting that. I don't know. There's a lot of lessons to this movie, man. Like taking your waking life dream powers into in your life, making it waking life, and radical acceptance. They had a lot of scenes. They had Alex Jones in this movie. I think that's pretty wild. You had young Alex Jones and stuff like that. But yeah, I really do recommend watching this movie. It's a very nice watch. I love this movie. It's cool. And thanks for watching.